So, Matt, with that in mind, I have to ask, should any of us be having elections during a political season?
Yeah. I mean, you have a season. Honestly, we have a month where we start to lose the will to live.
Oh, we haven't had the will to live in a really long time now. Hello, everyone, and welcome to A Very Special Relationship, the show that traverses an ocean only to find much of the same insanity right on the other side of it. I'm your host, Andrea Bridges-Smith, and with me is my fabulous co-host from the Interesting Times. It's Matt Johnston. Matt, we are smack in the middle of election season. Come on in and join us, won't you?
Oh yeah, the water's lovely. Hello, Andrea. We still don't have a general election date over on this side of the pond. Rishi
Still.
Sunak is still in the number 10 bunker. I won't come out unless we all say we're going to vote for him. Now, I actually recommend that we do this. Then when he comes out, we say April 4, which is next Monday anyway, so that could work really rather well, couldn't it?
And then as a bonus to the prank, maybe we could also shave off his left eyebrow just to kind of take it up a notch. I think
Yeah.
that would be fun.
Now, a little bit of extra news on this is
Okay.
that the last we've heard on Rishi Sunak himself is that he's 2 letters away from triggering another leadership election. I'm taking this with a little bit of pinch of salt because Rishi Sunak being kicked out of office. I mean, I said it a lot last year because I thought it was going to be last year. I didn't think it was going to be this year, for goodness sake.
Right.
But the latest polling from a chap called Professor John Curtis, who has some 50-odd years experience of this sort of thing, says that Labour have a 99% chance of forming the next election.
Wow, that's pretty high.
That is very high. And bearing in mind, anything that happens in the future is not 100% certain. You can't get 100%. That's the next step.
Right, right.
Yeah.
So you said it's looking like election's probably going to be sometime later this year. Is that right?
Well, the word was November the 14th, and that would be
Okay.
straight after the Conservatives have their party, what they call it, party conference.
I guess here's my question is that like if getting rid of Rishi Sunak now, talking about how he's only 2 letters away from getting sacked. I mean, if you're going to have another prime minister that's only in office for, a few months, like, is there really a point to doing that? Like, did they see Liz Truss's tenure and they were like, challenge accepted. Let's see how many more of these we can get through by the general election. Like, what's the logic behind that?
I'm not sure. I mean, I've given up on logic on this sort of thing for a
Yeah.
while ago, I'll be honest. I'm taking all this with a bit of pinch of salt, a large
Okay.
pinch of salt, because as I say, it's we've kind of been here before. There were people called the plotters, the evil plotters.
Right.
There's this WhatsApp group apparently. People like Nadine Dorries has virtually been calling for him to go since he came into office.
Right.
Same with certain other MPs as well. If they're 2 letters away, you got to think that that's going to come fairly quickly. They've got 300 odd MPs. It's not going to take too much, but I'm not sure. As I say, most of this stuff seems to be coming from a chap called Tim Montgomery, who
Okay.
gets him. He's basically a Conservative pundit, if you like,
Okay.
Conservative Party pundit. I think he looks after the website Conservative Home. And he
Okay.
appears on like the Times Radio, and I think he was on GB News and Channel 4. And each time he's sitting there going, "Oh, Rishi Sunak's going to go. Rishi Sunak's going to," but it's him. It's him sort of dragging all that stuff out. So as I say,
Gotcha.
I'm taking it with a large pinch of salt. I think last month it was Rishi Sunak's going to go. This month it's more along the lines of I think Rishi Sunak could be open to going. I thought, well, I'm not even sure what that means, but all of it seems to suggest that, he's might be stirring the pot a little bit, as I
So
say.
unlikely to happen, but if it did, comedy gold for you and I. We're going to have a great time with this, especially you.
Yes,
We're going to make
yes,
some really good videos if that happens. So we kind of hope he's right.
yeah, absolutely. It's a win-win situation.
Exactly.
For the general election itself, as I say, October, November time. Jeremy Hunt, who is the Chancellor, I think it was him mentioned October, which
Okay.
was again rather rather strange, because it's not down to him. But him, you imagine him and Sunak do talk a lot. Anyway, before then, we've got ourselves another by-election.
Oh,
It's probably going to be in May. The
okay.
Conservative MP, Scott Benton, he was resigned with immediate effect. Now, Andrea, let me ask you, if you have a job that you can resign with immediate effect, the question has to be about how much effect your job has.
Yeah, that's an excellent point. I always love when you guys have another by-election. I can only assume that this is going to mean more bad news for Rishi Sunak and the Tories.
Definitely. I mean, almost absolutely certainly.
Terrific.
One thing we have got coming up, though, just over a month away, May the 2nd, are the local elections and some of the mayor elections and some police and crime commission elections as well. So the
Okay.
Tories are expected to get another pasting. But unlike last year, do you remember last year they lost over 1,000 seats in the local elections?
Yes.
That's not going to happen this year, no matter what, because there's only 985 of them going up for a re-election. So they can't lose 1,000. Not even they can do that.
Right,
A
right.
high-profile election, though, is the London mayor, my area. Labour's Sadiq Khan, who's going for a third term.
Okay.
But what's going to be interesting, apart from how many seats the Tories lose, they're expecting to lose about half of their number, is just how well the Liberal Democrats do, and they tend to do well in local elections. And also the Reform Party. Now, we're not allowed to call them far right anymore, the Reform Party, right? So I'll just call them extreme right. We'll go with that.
Okay.
And my own tip to look out for is the Greens. Expect them to make some pretty good gains.
Okay. Wow. It sounds like there are a lot of elections happening over there. My question for you, though, is should they be happening at all? Or rather, that is what Donald Trump has to say. Let's take a listen.
You can't have an election in the middle of a political season. We just had Super Tuesday, and we had a Tuesday after a Tuesday already.
So, Matt, with that in mind, I have to ask, should any of us be having elections during a political season?
Yeah. I mean, you have a season. Honestly, we have a month where we start to lose the will to live.
Oh, we haven't had the will to live in a really long time now. Now, Matt, over here in the States, it is Women's History Month and International Women's Day occurred earlier this month. And just to catch you up on how well things are going for us broads, guess which country is going to be heading up the UN's Gender Equality Forum? Go ahead, give us a guess.
Iran.
Close. It's
Oh.
Saudi Arabia. Yes,
Woo.
Saudi Arabia is going to handle gender equality for the UN. I hope that you didn't enjoy being driven around by your partner, Matt, because it looks like you're going to need to hop in the driver's seat from now on.
Yeah, I imagine it'll be officiated by an all-male panel, no doubt.
Indeed, indeed. And speaking of ladies, and also turning to the world of sports, which neither of us do very often. We don't generally feel the need to, except that this is a really funny story. So there was a women's football match in the UK between Arsenal and Chelsea, and it was delayed because both teams showed up in matching socks. The Arsenal team ended up having to run to a nearby store and buy new socks before the match could begin. And my question is, whole rest of the outfit was different colors. Like, why do they care so much about the socks? What's going on over there?
Now, here's the thing. I can jump in on this because Chelsea play in blue and Arsenal play in red.
Right.
And that's about where my sporting knowledge concludes. Thank you very much.
Good, in-depth analysis. Great, I love it.
Yeah. So if it's the women's games, they definitely don't want to be matching anything. I mean, it's a wardrobe nightmare, isn't it, really? And after that joke, you'll have to excuse me as I put my ticket to Saudi Arabia. So if the women are bad, Andrea, the men are a darn sight worse. The latest Nike football strip, the latest Nike England football strip, I beg your pardon, has come out in time for the Euros, the European Championship in the summer. And people aren't happy. What have you Americans done with the English flag? On the back of the collar, I've actually got it here. On the back of the collar, instead of a red cross on a white background, it's a red, blue, and purple cross. Now, I don't think people would mind so much if it looked in any way decent. You turn around and say, bit cheeky messing with the flag, but fair play, doesn't look too bad. But this just looks rubbish. Crap. Sorry, Andrea, you are now the representative of America. So What have you got to say for yourself?
I would ask if we could zoom in on it a little bit because I can't quite detect where it is. It says it's on the back of the collar somewhere. Is that? I don't know. I'm sure if I could see the thing, I'd also be horrified, but you're going to have to wait for my outrage till my new microscope arrives. Are we having ourselves a little tempest in a teapot, to borrow an expression from you guys?
Fair enough.
Perhaps. I don't
Fair
know.
enough. We don't mind you borrowing expressions from us. So now, if Nike hadn't mentioned it, I doubt any of us would have even spotted it. As you say, it's really rather small. It's almost like a large multinational company had created some controversy to raise their profile.
They would never, would they?
How about that? So, Andrea, there's obviously a lot of news over here about the Baltimore Bridge. What's the latest?
Yeah, a lot of news over here about it as well. It's really awful. So a ship was going through the port of Baltimore on its way out to sea, and then it lost power rather abruptly and couldn't really get it back and drifted off course. And it struck the support beam of this bridge, and the whole thing just collapsed. The good news is that they put out a mayday in advance, and they were able to keep people from driving across the bridge. So that was good. But the bad news is that there was a crew working on the bridge at the time, and only 2 of them were rescued, and 6 of them are unfortunately lost. And I want to point out that the people that were lost were from Guatemala, El Salvador, Mexico, and Honduras, the very people that we're trying so hard to keep out at the southern border. And we might keep in mind that those are the people that are out there repairing and building our infrastructure before we rush to demonize them.
Indeed. I mean, this is just horrifying.
Yeah, it's really, really sad. It's going to have implications for commerce, of course, because there's a lot of shipping that moves through that port, and the port is closed for now while they, indefinitely while they figure out how to rebuild this bridge. Hopefully bigger, better, stronger next time, but it'll remain to be seen how quickly they can do that. This tragedy has naturally brought out all of the crazies on the right, as everything does. So far, they have said that it's actually a secret terror attack. It's Joe Biden's fault for not allocating more to bridges in the infrastructure bill, the one that they voted against. It's because of drugs, it's because of COVID lockdowns, and of course, it's because of a lack of border security, something they also voted against. So
maybe the whole thing was orchestrated by Kate Middleton.
Exactly. With a little help from the Obamas, probably. Yeah, we're all going to be Muslim by the end of this bridge collapse disaster thing. It's a mess. But Matt, it's a bit of a heavy story, and I would like to wrap up with something that's on a bit of a lighter note.
Yeah.
I find this story is really hilarious, but it also contains an important lesson for everyone. So I think you will enjoy this. So this is the story of one Ronna McDaniel. Are you familiar with her at all?
Yeah, but I didn't know her name was Ronna Romney McDaniel.
Yes, let me explain why you didn't know that.
Okay.
So that Romney there in the middle, that is because she is Senator Mitt Romney's niece. Mitt Romney, famously not a fan of Donald Trump, right?
Yeah, right. Yeah.
But Ronna said, no, that's not me. She went all in on Trump, and he said, all right, I like you. I like the cut of your jib. But we need you to drop that Romney from your name. And she said, no problem. So she changed her name to appease him. And she got to be head of the RNC for the past several years. Now, in that post, she basically did whatever Donald Trump wanted, including lying for him, including in a way that might expose her to some legal issues. That seems to be a common side effect, doesn't it, of people who hang out with Donald Trump and support him? Seem to wind up needing lawyers. Interesting.
Yes.
But even though she was very loyal to him and she did his bidding, she was cast aside at the very first sign of her disagreeing with him on something. So basically, Donald Trump was like, we don't even need to have primary debates. And she was like, no, we do. It's important, which was a reasonable thing to say. And of course, he doesn't do reasonable things to say. So out she went. So she got Indiana Jonesed with Trump's daughter-in-law. So, you know, a lot of Nepo babies in the RNC. Do you guys have
Yeah.
Nepo babies over there?
Yeah, first time I heard that expression, I'll be honest, but I'm not sure we do. I can't think of any offhand. I mean, I suppose the creepy cotton bud that is Jacob Rees-Mogg might count. His father was one William Rees-Mogg, who was editor of the Times.
Okay.
Oh wait, no, hang on. Sorry, of course we've got the biggest Nepo babies in the world, stretching back 1,000 years. And what's more, everyone knows it. Everyone understands the deal, don't they? It's just like you have some offspring. That offspring inherits everything you've got.
Right. You guys have the OG Nepo babies. Yeah.
Yeah, we really do. And we're keeping them for some reason, but there we go.
Yeah, yeah. But anyway, you know, she gets canned, no problem. She's got a way forward. So she goes out, she gets an agent, one of the biggest talent agencies in the States, and they get her a deal to, it's a 2-year contract being a political contributor on NBC. Now, hiring someone who has previously lied for a living to work at a journalism outfit, which is supposed to be about telling the truth, did not sit well with all the other on-air talent. And they each took turns on their shows bashing her and the network. It was a parade of just WTF. Rachel Maddow alone spent like half an hour just going off about this. So her hiring was announced on Friday, and she made her first appearance on Sunday, and her firing was announced yesterday on Tuesday. So that's a quick turnaround. Her agency, the big fancy agency that she was working with, has dropped her like a hot potato. And the cherry on top of this delicious little Schadenfreude sundae is that Trump is now making fun of her on social media. So the moral of that story, children, is it does not pay to kiss Donald Trump's ass. Let's all internalize that.
Okay. Yes, that is delightful for all the wrong reasons. And I have to say, what a mental image that you managed to leave us with. Thank you, Andrea.
Yes.
And thanks everyone out there for YouTubing with us. I like that phrase, YouTubing. I'm going to keep it, I think.
Me too.
For more American stuff, please subscribe to Andrea's channel. You're already here, so you can find it at Phoenix News Network. Or for the UK or Yuck stuff, my channel is at The Interesting Time. So what do you think? Same time next week, Andrea?
Same time next week.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye, everybody.